People of the world, people of the newly minted Eastern Command Authority, it is I, Maxwell Bravo, living at large here in Louisville City, Kentucky, the original containment zone, where a vector's work is never done. Or is it? Yes, the field of professional vectoring continues to develop, much to the gain of you, noble listeners. I have been told that there are listeners to this program. In fact, everyone is listening to it, if I understand correctly. I am proudly the official voice of the Eastern Command Authority, incorporating the Invasive Species Department Command East, my alma mater. This, make no mistake, is the official organization to follow for all of those who believe in America. I think there are a few others knocking about, the Western Command Authority for one, but we have a secret weapon, this Vector program, and all the secrets it's revealing to the world. Through me. That's Maxwell Bravo. I'll leave my measurements for the statues and such. So what do I have to be so chipper about? I shall appraise you on the last 3 weeks here in the big city, and I think you'll share my optimism. The Eastern Command Authority certainly does. They're even going to pay me, and after I went to the trouble of so eagerly volunteering. For starters, and this hardly seems significant now, I was able to attach a whole bag of pilfered door hinges to the gateposts at the front of my house, and a couple of sides of old sheds to those, creating a big gateway that I can bar at my leisure. Combined with an increasingly complete ring of fencing around the house, hiding from the enemy is easier than ever. I was very pleased with all that, but you'll see it turns out to be less important than I expected. My road to that discovery was, appropriately enough, the very road outside the house. According to the maps EastCom had produced of the infection zone, the streets eventually led to a gas station in the northwest of the city. I was in sudden need of a whole load of gas for my new symbiotic partner, Fire. The car that Vector 6 brought here has been in the driveway ever since. Getting to swing open my big new gates, I took it out for a spin. Plenty of zombies noticed and started following me, but little did they know they were doing me a favour. I reached the crossroads with the gas station, also featuring a small park, a few houses, and the wide open parking lot for a store. A lovely spot for a nice fire, don't you think? I popped the trunk and brought out some charcoal, making a nice pile in the road. The locals were already well on their way to make me their lunch, but isn't food better when it's hot? Yes, the smugness I feel now began there at that crossroads, as my fire immediately began to spread to everyone who came to investigate. I was jogging around them in a wide circle, slipping past any who got too close. It was extremely dangerous for me, yet even more so for the poor beasts. Exactly the right kind of danger. Warm and fuzzy danger to accompany the silent demise of these husks, and indeed perhaps the murder of those within. On that topic, East Command are adamant that there is no reversing the process for the ordinary infected. We Vectors are special, and most of you have likely received your treatments to begin getting you into this less vulnerable state, to one degree or another. You won't survive getting ripped apart by the Horde, but perhaps a scratch or a bite won't be a death sentence anymore. Science is marvellous, isn't it? I've certainly forgotten how it got us here in the first place, haven't you? Anyway, my plan to secure the neighborhood to steal a trove of gas had 2 major flaws. Here was the first one. The zombies. Unbelievably, they're still managing to ruin things surprisingly well. This time it was because they were dying too much. Boatloads of the things were swarming to my corner of the city. It wasn't just those following my car. They had a supernatural ability to find my fire from miles around. Great for clearing out the city for a bit, but it meant I was stuck running a marathon. I ran and waited and ran and waited, and nearly died more times than I've breathed today. The flames were ever fed by more and more and more of them. This was great, don't get me wrong. I was slaughtering monsters with efficiency the likes of which we've yet to see, although EastCom says they have an idea to reproduce it in the wild one day. One day bloody soon, eh? They want to do it with planes and satellites, and they've gone crazy since they got all their hands on the government toys. Haven't you? It's good to laugh about it, and I can be as smug as I want, since I'm the only one getting things done, until the rest of the zones get a decent vector in them. Maybe by the time you hear this, things will have improved. Plans, 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 but that's why they let me talk to you, to give you some actual results for once. and the result I report now was that the inferno of the undead I began at that crossroads lasted the entire day, and I didn't even get to set foot on the forecourt. Mission failed successfully. Once it was getting dark, I was forced to lure the heated horde one way, then double back to the car and drive home. Far from getting any gas, I'd used a load of it up. But the experience, and the sight of 1,000 solved problems, was worth it. All you have to do is forget what you are, and what killing the monsters really means, which, given all the tribulations we've all been put through, seems like a relatively easy job, eh? I've had worse, and I'll have worse, I'm sure of that. I wasn't satisfied with that single day of revelry alone. In fact, you could say I was hooked. The next morning I started not one but two conflagrations, one in the suburb outside HQ, and another back up near the gas station, this time in the park across the street to get all the vegetation added to the blaze for extra coverage. Look at me, learning first-rate arson on the job. In both cases, the victim count was reduced, with the zombies still yet to fully shamble in from the endless hordes to replenish the local garrisons. The gas station was secured with daylight still to spend. But I said there were two big problems with my plan, and here arose the second. I had been assured by command that the fuel pumps had so-called manual overrides. That is to say, I could manually push a pump somewhere to get the fuel out of the ground. Nope. The whole thing was electric, with no hydraulic action to be found, so for all my work, a stash of fuel potent enough to burn down half the city lay frustratingly out of reach right below my feet. The sum spoils of my grand campaign came by looting a siphon from the back room of the place, then getting what I could from all the abandoned cars on the forecourt and rear parking lot. It wasn't what I wanted, but given how many cars are all over the city, this humble siphon kit was actually the key to a far larger supply of explosion water than my original quest was going to net. I won't have to worry about gas ever again. Eastcom are jealous of me there. Then again, they want helicopter and jet fuel, hard to come by these days. They're still flying by now and again, so that's the proof in the pudding. I think they've done well for themselves, all things considered. Do consider joining their ranks when they appear and make demands of you and or your survivor community. I signed up, in blood no less, and my career's taken brilliant turns and taught me valuable skills. First and foremost among my new repertoire is the concoction of combustible cocktails, Molotovs. That's what all my huffing and coughing at the gas tank of half the cars on my street was for. Eastcom had already provided the recipes, and glass bottles were in every house, in every trash can, and rolling about on just about every street too. Louisville's always been a classy place. It was the very same evening of my return from the great siphoning when I had my first samples ready. Late as it was, I was buzzing to try them out. I walked up the street opposite the HQ, into the suburbs I'd already burned out that morning. Now I was there to test the very same process, but faster, handheld, a mass arson solution for the busy professional on the go. God bless gasoline, God bless flame, humanity's last and first good ideas respectively. I posted up on someone's lawn and hurled a single flaming bottle at the house across the street. Boom. The place was wooden, so the flames had no trouble finding somewhere to go once the gas in the bottle roared itself into smoke and vapor. The house crackled and popped as it burned, and a few zombies emerged from here and there to go join the party. With mindless glee they entered the burning building, ignoring me, standing in full view only a bottle's throw away. I had observed plenty of this behavior on my grand outdoor burns. Zombies are obsessed with fire. That's one way of putting it, but an inaccurate way. If you were to, say, go set a tree on fire, they ignore it. They're interested in blazes that have one key ingredient: infected bodies. And these houses were full of the things, since they were the nearest shelter for injured beasts to heal up after visiting the HQ. I have been in close liaison with Eastcom regarding my theories on how the plankton the zombies ingest change their reaction to heat and flame. I was onto something. I am onto something. I didn't pretend to know how it worked, only I can tell you now that there are those who do. Burning zombies attract yearning zombies, and in the charred mess it all leaves behind, the aeroplankton thrive. This is a method to, for a short time, produce zombie-baiting aeroplankton outside of the hives my wise masters put in my bloody lungs. The first time we've seen these wonder bugs grow without a living host. What does all this mean? I'll tell you what happened next, and perhaps you'll sense the gravity of all this. The next morning, not a single zombie showed up. I stood at the window on the upstairs landing, peering down at the long street opposite. Smoke still rose from buildings along that block. I saw the odd bit of movement here and there, none of it towards me. I was starting to catch on, and speaking of catch, I had something I'd been wanting to try for a while. Hence, I wandered off the front line and set up shop at the house's cramped boathouse out back. Perfect spot for a little fishing. Only after 5 days did any serious effort from the Horde to get into the HQ resume, and I was well rested and ready to go out and get back to work. I had filled the garage with an outright dangerous amount of Molotovs, not to mention the stacks of bullets and guns I'd collected there. One spark and half the building would be gone in a flash, but I trusted keeping them outside the building even less. Anyway, this isn't a health and safety tribunal, although thinking about that makes me less sure. It was time to repeat my experiment, and I was ready to go big. I filled a massive hiking pack with firebombs, opened the front gates, and rode out on my bicycle for a stealthy outing. The zombies were interested in fires, that was clear enough. All I needed to do was make a fire to end all fires somewhere well out of no shot of me, and I'd be able to earn myself another vacation. That was the plan anyway. I'd left notes with all my thoughts in case I didn't make it back. Writing your last words is a great way to pass time on dull days off. I recommend it to you all. A few blocks out from HQ, there's a crisscrossing grid of wooden row houses. Oh yes, I'd had these things on my radar for a while. I got to the crossroads in the middle of it all and got to burning. I hadn't come this far into the city yet, so I had thousands of customers to serve. Rain was pouring down, but I like a challenge. Had a match taped to the side of each cocktail bottle, so I could quickly light the ripped up bits of curtain in the neck. One thrown this way, one that. There were 4 ways into my Crossroads festival, and 4 blazes got my first wave of customers in the mood. Then the blaze spread like a certain cannibalism-causing mind control disease. It was total mayhem, and I was only able to survive by hopping fences, sprinting madly, and blundering through houses to break line of sight. Of course, the houses did not escape the blaze either. It was a day-long mess of hot gore, and I've told you nothing at all of the smell of this. I shall generously hold my tongue as tightly as I did my nose. This dodgy fire dance looks like it would carry on into the night if I wanted it to, but since I did have at least a little bit of intolerance for danger left in me, I fled to spend the night at home. As I suspected, the current batch of zombies did not follow far, drifting back towards the charred remains of earlier batches. The sweet smoking flesh called to them. I was certain of it by then. I cycled back over the next morning and found that the fires were still burning. New meat had been coming in all night and still managing to spread the blaze to each other throughout. I was astounded. It was like I was no longer looking at the beasts I had so feared, but instead the bumbling, useless bags of brainless meat that everyone assumed they would be when they first noticed their neighbours getting out and about on the fateful morning all those months ago. Aeroplankton's a hell of a drug. For that second day I was hardly noticed. I watched as the last of those zombies in sniffing range of the blaze came over. Sniff, sniff, snuff. A whole district of the city was emptied, and if one ignored the mess and the stragglers and the burning homes and the abandoned trapped souls, it was peaceful. My bag was not filled with firebombs, but with food I looted from a nearby supermarket that had been cleared of danger by the burnout. It was positively luxurious. I knew I only had a day or two before the next pulse of the Horde came in from the wider county and wider country. But even then, chances were they would go to that pile of bone and gristle and leave me be. Well, I wanted to make certain of it. So here is the final experiment I am here to report on, the biggest of them all. I had already planned it out on that second day at Big Burn Crossroads, because a short distance further into the city from that burn site is the huge common area, a spot with loads of stuff to burn and loads of ways for more fuel to filter in from all the surrounding districts. Now we're thinking like a proper mass-murdering psycho, eh? I went over there yesterday with a bag of Molotovs, a box with more tied to the bike, and the best-fitting running shoes I'd got from all the free deliveries over the weeks. At first I was worried the space might be empty. All the zombies had been burning already had to have come from somewhere. Nope. A classic dead mistake, underestimating how many zombies there are. The park was ram-packed, like it was a free fireworks night, and of course it actually was. Lucky them. I rolled the bike too deep into the crowd and had to panic to get the flames going. Strike, throw, strike, throw. I got through a good 10 bombs with this drill, interspersed with the explosive roar of the impact. I lost the bike somewhere in the furious mob, a sad parting. I ran around the outside of the park, and sometimes was forced out into the streets by the weight of the zombie mass, and indeed by the heat of the flames. It was not like I was facing 1,000 zombies or 10,000, but one single thing, a wall of double-dying death that wanted to add one more brick. They failed, although that said, if they actually succeeded, I might still be here talking to you today by virtue of the very scientific marvels that got me this far. This is power, ladies and gentlemen. Unchecked, raw power. What we need is to find a way to use it. All I know is that zombies who have taken their dose of plankton burn like bloody candles, and those candles in turn give other zombies their dose of plankton and beckon in the hungry to join the fray. A self-sustaining, zombie-removing reaction. I can still see the smoke of the blaze in the park from my windows here at HQ. No visitors yet, and after the work I've done, I'm expecting something of a vacation. Plenty of chores here to do for a single father of 1 trillion microscopic children. It's all very nice. This vectoring business keeps paying dividends, and I hope that the final payment will be the one that would reward me highest for my work, ending the need for vectors at all. I won't hold the pretense that my condition could be reversed. However, if zombie containment could be brought under the watch of professionals and protocol in a hands-off fashion, I like to believe that I might be able to enjoy a normal life, even if I'd need to cover my fries in bacterially infused ketchup. We can all dream, and I think dreaming of a bowl of fries is something that can bring us all together, eh? What am I prattling on about now? Perhaps some payment in the short term is due, eh, Madam Director? You all want to see me rewarded, don't you, ladies and gentlemen? Tell your local EastCom soldiers next time they come around. The Vector Union of One demands a slice of the profits for themselves, or failing that, a way to save our world and people without burning most of it, and them, to ash. Might be good. We can all agree on that. Actually, let's not get presumptuous. I don't know what EastCom really wants, honestly, and right now it doesn't matter. It's the 11th of November 2008, and this is Vector 8, Maxwell Bravo, signing off. Can smell that orgy of death from here. This isn't right though. EastCom knows how powerful this is. I downright told them already. How much proof do they need? Something tells me I will never convince them that I don't need to be here. I am disposable, sure. Just another zombie. One that talks to himself, sure. But I'm not really me. I'm what they made me, and they can always make another.